Good day, students. Welcome to lesson 62. I hope you understand clubs so far and that you are all well. Okay, in this lesson, I will be marking exercise 4A and exercise 4B. All right, let's start with exercise 4A. Okay, 4A says that the Jolly Perseverance Club was founded with 30 members, and then it says on the 1st of March, the club received 60,000 from the estate of S. Naidu, and that the estate stipulated that 30,000 had to be invested immediately, and the interest had to be regarded as current income, and then 15,000 to be used to purchase equipment, and the rest of the money had to be used for current expenses. Okay, so we're first going to do the entry for the 60,000 that's been received, and you will see that it is under receipt number 1. It's just that the receipt for 60,000 that we received from his estate. Okay, what is the double entry for that? Okay, so we're going to debit bank with 60,000 because that is the amount that we received, and we are going to credit 3 other accounts. Why 3 other accounts is, remember the first stipulation said that 30,000 had to be invested immediately. In other words, we're going to invest 30,000 and 30,000. But whenever we invest money from a estate, then we must also open an account for that fund. In this case, the account's name will be Naidu Fund. Okay, the second account that we are going to credit is the accumulated fund account. Remember, under the conditions, it says there that 15,000 has to be capitalized to buy then equipment. Okay, so we're first going to capitalize that. Remember, to make it easier for you, remember capital, the account that replaces capital is capital fund. So if they say the amount is going to be capitalized, we debit bank and we credit the accumulated fund account. That is the replacement for the capital account. So we debit bank with 15,000 and we credit accumulated fund with 15,000. You'll see that the 1 in the red circle. All right. Okay, and the third account that we're going to credit is the donations. Okay, and that is correct because that account donations is also an income, and that at the end of the financial period it will be closed off to the income and expenditure account where the income will be used to cover the expenses. Okay, and the double entry for that the double entry for that transaction you will see also marked in the red circle number 1, debit bank and credit donations. Okay, receipt number 2 was received on the 2nd of March, and that was from M. Jackson. It was for 1,500 Rand in payment of membership 500 and entrance fees of 1,000. Okay, so the double entry for the membership fees, that one is easy. Debit bank with 500 and credit membership fees with 500. Okay, you'll see both the two entries are marked in that blue circle, number 2, with number 2 in it. Okay, now we're going to do the entries for the entrance fees. If you look back at the further stipulations by the committee there under exercise 4A, it says there half of the entrance fees had to be capitalized immediately, while the other half had to be regarded as current income. Okay, now you know by now if they say that money has to be capitalized, we are going to enter that in the accumulated fund account. Remember that principle that I explained to you. It's the same as capitalize. You think of the capital account, but now we use the accumulated fund account. Okay, so the double entry then for that half of the membership fees, which is then 500, needs to be capitalized. So the double entry for that is we debit bank and we credit accumulated fund. Okay. And then for the rest of the other 500 Rand of the 1,000, we will debit bank and we will credit entrance fees. And you'll see those two amounts are circled like in that yellow with a 3 in it is debit bank credit entrance fees. Okay. And the other entry for the debit bank and credit accumulated fund is also in that number 3 in the yellow circle with the number 3 around it. Okay, so now we get to the other entries. Receipt number 3 on the 11th of March. We received money. It was 550 Rand for refreshments sold. Double entry, debit bank, credit refreshments, which is a nominal account. You'll see those two entries are marked with the number 4 in the green, in the green circle, number 4. All right. And then the last receipt was receipt number 4 was received on 29th of March. It was for a donation. We debit bank and we credit donations 2,000 Rand. And you'll see those two entries are done. It's marked number 5 in the turquoise circle. Okay, so now we get to the 4 payments that were made. On the first one was on the 5th. It was paid to Ace Bank for the investment. So the double entry for that is credit bank 30,000, debit investment, Naidu Fund. But yeah, the most important part is it is the investment. So we debit investment with 30,000 and credit bank with 30,000, and it's marked with that number 6 in the purple color. Okay. The second payment was done to Good Furnitures for equipment for 15,000. All right. So we credit bank 15,000, debit equipment 15,000, and that was marked with the 7 in the blue circle. All right. The third payment was made for affiliation fees to Perseverance Union. It was for 1,000 Rand. So we credit bank, debit affiliation fees of 1,000 Rand, and those entries are marked in as number 8 in the grey circle. And then the last payment was to OC Bazaars for refreshments, 400 Rand, credit bank, debit refreshments. And those entries are marked with the number 9 in the light green circle. Okay, so let's mark exercise 4B. The Talk Easy Club was founded on 1 September 21 with 15 members. All right. Okay, now let's look at the transactions. For September 20X1, all the members have paid the membership fees of 500 Rand per year, as well as the entrance fee of 500 Rand per person. The Constitution stipulated that the entrance fees had to be capitalized immediately. Okay, so the double entry for the membership fees, the double entry membership fees 500 times 15 gives you 7,500. So we debit bank with 7,500 and we credit the membership fees account, which is an income account, with 7,500. And you will see that transaction is that 1 in the red circle. Okay, so now we get to the entrance fees. Remember, the entrance fees have to be capitalized immediately. If you hear the word capitalized, you think of capital account, you think of the accumulated fund account. So the double entry will be debit bank with 7,500 and credit accumulated fund with 7,500. Okay, and the double entry is marked with a 2 in the blue circle. So it's debit bank and credit accumulated fund. Okay, so now we get to the transaction on the 3rd of September. The club paid the affiliation fees to the Talk Union of South Africa, 3,000 Rand. So the double entry for that is credit bank and debit affiliation or affiliation fees. And credit bank with 3,000 and debit affiliation fees with 3,000. All right, and that transaction is marked with the 4 in the green circle. Okay, and then we get the transaction on the 6th. Equipment was bought to the value of 30,500. Only 5,000 was paid by check. The balance was bought on credit. Okay, so we're going to have two entries for that transaction. Let's do the first one for the cash, where we bought the equipment for cash. We credit bank and we debit equipment with 5,000. Okay. Okay, so the second double entry is for the credit purchases of the equipment. So the double entry for that is debit equipment with 25,500 and creditors with 25,500. And you will see that that transaction is indicated with the 5 in the turquoise color. Okay, so now we get to the transaction on the 8th. The club received 60,000 from the estate of John Lonely. The estate stipulated that the legacy had to be invested. Half of the interest of the investment had to be reinvested in the fund, while the other half had to be used for refreshments. Okay, so the moment that you see or hear the words have to be invested, you know that we will have to create a fund account. Okay, so the double entry for that is we debit bank and we credit the fund account. So we debit bank with 60,000 and we open an account for Fund John Lonely and we credit that fund account. Okay, and now we are going to do the transaction for the investment. In other words, we take money out of the bank and put it or deposit that into an investment account. So the double entry for that is credit bank 60,000 and debit the John Lonely investment account or investment John Lonely, and we debit that with 60,000 Rand. Okay, and you'll see all those transactions are indicated with a 6 in the purple circle. Okay, so that information regarding the interest wasn't actually necessary because we're only going to deal with that once we have received the interest, and that will only be after a period of time, not at this stage. Okay, so now we are going to do that last entry on the 19th of September. An amount of 2,000 was paid to the honorary secretary as honorarium. Okay, so we pay that out of the bank. Credit bank 2,000 and debit honorarium 2,000, which is an expense. And that transaction is indicated, the double entry is indicated by a 7, white 7 in a blue circle. Okay, so that is it for lesson 62, and I'll see you in lesson 63. Goodbye.